Bug Implementer.
If you want your game characters to have health, speed, score, names, or any kind of data, you need variables. In Godot, variables are the foundation of almost everything you'll code. Today we'll look at how to declare variables properly in GDScript. When we declare a variable, we simply telling the computer, create a container and give it a name. At this moment, the container exists, but it doesn't need to hold a value yet. We now have a variable named speed, but it has no value yet. Think of it as an empty box waiting to be filled. As a matter of fact, if we try to print it out and call the ready function for this to the console, we get the value null, meaning nothing. So this box is empty. When we give a variable its first value, that moment is called initialization. Now the variable is initialized. The container holds a value. Most of the time we do both in one line. Declaration creates the variable, initialization gives it its first value. So if we print it out now using the ready function and see what's in the console, we now have this initialized value of 200. In Godot, we usually put our variable declarations at the top of the script, right after the extends line. This creates a clear settings section for your script. All important values are visible at a glance. This is not enforced by Godot. It's simply good code style and makes your scripts more readable. So we declare and initialize our variables at the top, and then we use them in our code to actually change and tweak them. Variable names should clearly describe the data they store. Confusing names make your code harder to understand, especially for future you. There are a few rules for the declaration of variables. For example, you cannot use empty spaces. Something like this is not allowed. You get an error. To prevent this feature, whenever you need spaces, you just use an underscore. This is called snake case. This brings us to the second topic. You cannot declare the same variable twice in a script. So every variable has to be unique. You cannot start variables with numbers or special characters. This is not allowed. As a simple rule to remember, variable names should be short and clear. If the name is clear, you already won. Because nothing stops you from creating variables like this, for example. So you do not want to work with variable names that are this long. This is bullshit. Keep them short and precise. Every node type in Godot already comes with built-in properties. For example, a node2D already has position, rotation, scale, and skew. You cannot use those for your declarations. So var position throws an error because you cannot use those pre-built property names. Be aware that Godot is built on inheritance, so basically you cannot use those names, and you cannot use names from every class in this chain of inheritance. So you cannot use names from this one, cannot use the property names of this one, you cannot use the property names of node, and as object does not have any properties, this is irrelevant. Keep in the back of your head, if you see something like this, error at blah blah blah, member position redefined, original in native class sprite2d. So this means you cannot use this name because it is a reserved variable name or property name that is already built in. GDScript is a dynamically typed language, meaning you don't have to specify the type of a variable. But adding a type hint helps Godot understand what value you expect. You can add a type hint by putting a colon behind the variable name and write the type you want the variable to hold. So in this case, only int values are allowed for the HP. Let's check this out. So if we do not have this type int, we can do something like this. And this is not a problem. We can even print it and check it. No problem whatsoever. But we do not want this to even work in the first place, because this is just an error. We do not want the HP to be a string of text. We want to prevent that from even happening. So we can make our little container or our box a little more selective by using a type hint, and from now on it is not allowed to use different values than int values for the health points. So now we cannot assign a string to it, cannot assign a value of type string as int. Now we are only allowed to put in new int values. We can do this as often as we want. If you look closely, this is what the Godot properties already have built in. They all have a type hint added. You don't need type hints for everything, but using them for important values is a great habit. And if you want to initialize a typed variable, you can easily do it by writing the initialization after the type hint. So for example, like this. Sometimes you want to adjust a value directly in the inspector without opening code. Add export allows you to expose a variable to the inspector so you can tweak it per instance. So you use it like this, add export. And from now on, this variable is exported to the inspector and it behaves basically like any other property you see right here. And the cool thing we get out from this is that if we have, in this case, many chickens, those are little chickens. So if we have many different chickens, we can adjust the speed of each individual chicken by just setting the value in the inspector. We can make this a little bit faster, make it 100, and this, let's make it 400. So I don't know which chickens we increase the speed of. You get the point. And without even touching code, we can adjust the speed of them. So yeah. Declaring a variable creates it. Changing its value later is called updating or reassigning the value of the variable. You declare a variable once, but you can update its value as often as you want during gameplay. Declaration creates a variable. Initialization assigns the first value. Put variable declarations at the top of your script. Use clear names and use snake case. Don't reuse built-in or inherited property names. This is not allowed. Type hints make code safer and easier to read. The @export annotation exposes a variable to the inspector. Declare once and update anytime. And that's it for this video. In the next video, we are going to exercise this, do actually practice drills to learn the syntax and actually do something. This was a lot of theory, I know, but yeah, now we have it out of our way and we can start to practice. See ya in the next one.